job, Rio. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our home safari brought to you by the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Gardens. My name is Dustin, and I'm a program trainer here at the Emeritus Wings of Wonder Bird Show. And in honor of World Parrot Day, we really wanted to show off one of our superstars of our show. His name is Rio, and Rio is a Hyacinth Macaw. He is the largest flighted species of parrot in the world. Now, he is already showing off one of his cool adaptations. He's from South America. You want to think Brazil and the Pontagal area. Now, he has what's called zygodactyl toes, which is just a fancy way of saying they have two toes facing forward and two facing back so that they can use their feet a little bit like they can use their hands. He's a little curious there, isn't he? So he climbed all the way down this large rope. He can do that for trees or vines out in the wild to reach far-reaching fruits or flowers or nuts or seeds. Anything that he would like, he can do because he has these zygodactyl feet. Now, you can see he brought the food up to his mouth. That is a really cool, he's got to bring the food up to his mouth because he is a prey species. He's got to keep his eye to the sky, make sure that there's no predators around. So this is a really cool adaptation to bring that food up to your mouth as he cracks through almond that I gave him. Now, this beak is an extremely strong beak. Now, aside from being the largest beak in the parrot world, it is also the strongest beak. Rio's beak can assert a force of 1,200 pounds per square inch in that beak. So it's very strong. It can crack open the hardest of rainforest nuts. Think macadamia nuts, extremely hard. He can crack through them. Even coconut shells, they can crack through. So they're really, really powerful beaks. But also, to put this into perspective, our mouths, so a human bite force is only as strong as 150 pounds per square inch. So 8 times as strong is how strong Rio's beak is. Rio, we're gonna try something a little different today. I know, usually you pull up the rope from there. What if you flew over here and tried it? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, good job. So an extremely powerful beak. Now he's gonna show off that adaptation he had with those zygodactyl feet one more time. As he sees, there's a little rope, but this time he's gonna pull it up to his mouth because that's a whole lot easier, which also shows off that he is an extremely smart bird. Now, parrots, very, very smart, equivalent to a 2 to 4-year-old toddler. They're so smart. And so yes, there he is again. He's gonna bring the pecan up to his mouth and you're gonna crack through it. You're also gonna hold on to the bin too, because he likes holding on to that. Oh, you're gonna take it away from us. Very nice, Rio. Now, Rio here, another one of my favorite parts, with that powerful beak for such a medium-sized bird, because believe it or not, Rio is a whole lot lighter than you would imagine. So we weigh our birds every day down here at the bird show. So I weighed Rio this morning. He weighed 1,300 grams. So we weigh all of our birds in grams. To convert that to pounds, it's 454 grams to a pound. So he's a little bit under 3 pounds. So to put that, kind of wrap your mind around it, or wrap your brain around it, I want you to actually think about your brain, because the average human brain weighs about 3 to 4 pounds. But if that doesn't satisfy your craving, if you've never held a human brain, think about a half a carton of milk. That's around 4 pounds. So Rio weighs less than half a carton of milk, but has 8 times as strong a beak as far as biting that we do. So very, very strong and very powerful. A little bit about Rio down here at the bird show. He was born here at the Cincinnati Zoo. He is 18 and a half years old. So I guess if he was a human, he'd be graduating high school right about now. But they can live to be about 50 or 60 years old. So Rio is still young and spry, even though he wants to eat his food away from us. He's got those beautiful feathers. It really blends in with a lot of the fruits and flowers down in the Pontagal. Rio. Yes, he's enjoying his pecan. It's a lovely day here in Avondale.
Neil wants to know if the parrot can sing.
Can Rio sing? Excellent question. So a lot of times when you get larger with the parrots, they're more squawkers rather than they are talkers. So Rio's more of a squawker. He will say hello and hi, but he's really shy about it. So he likes to do it when he's at home, but he won't do it necessarily out here. A lot of times when you have the smaller parrots, the Amazon parrots, the African greys, those are more of your mimickers that sometimes mimic singing and talking. But some of these larger guys, more squawking that you might be able to hear them in the back.
Lisa Marie would like to know how you weigh them.
Yeah, great question. So how do we weigh them? We actually are weighing them on scales. We actually ask them to step up onto our hand, almost like this. He flew to my hand. So we ask him to step up, and then we ask him to step on. We have adjusted a scale. So we put a little bit of a T-perch on top of it, and then we ask them to step on it, and then we weigh them that way. So great question. Yeah, that's some of the training that we do behind the scenes.
Walker, age 9, would like to know how many bones they have in their body.
How many bones do they have in their body? That's a great question. I do not know exactly how many bones that Rio has in his body. You've kind of stumped the researcher on that one. I'm not 100% sure, but they do have a hollow-like bone system. So I mentioned how light Rio is compared to his size. So all flighted birds have a hollow-like bone structure. So penguins and ostriches, emus, they do not have that hollow-like bone structure, but Rio does. So they have a spongy-like structure in their bones. But how many of those bones do they have? I am not sure. That's a great question.
Courtney wants to know if birds like Rio are endangered.
Oh, yeah, so is Rio endangered? Rio is actually considered vulnerable. Hyacinth macaws are considered vulnerable, and that's because of the path that their species out in the wild are taking. So a lot of times, actually, one of their biggest predators are smaller mammals. You think reptiles, and then also the toko toucan. They like to steal their eggs out of their nests. There's a lot of competition for their nests, but so their population not necessarily in a complete decline, but a lot of the issues with the parrots out in the wild is a lot of that deforestation and the illegal pet trade. So with deforestation, a lot of palm oil is another big one. So the type of crops that they use a lot of clear crops, which destroys their habitat. So if you really want to help birds like Rio, you can buy sustainable palm oil, and there's awesome apps out there for that. What do you think, Rio? Yeah, he loves sustainable palm oil.
Liam wants to know if they make good pets.
Do they make good pets? That's a great question. So Rio looks really cool right here, and you'd want to see him in your own house, but as someone who works with them every day, I would never take Rio home with me. So he is extremely loud. They take a lot of effort and time. They're very messy. He just relieved himself, and he has thrown all of his nutshells all over the place, so I'm going to have to clean this up later. So they're very messy. They need a lot of social attention. We have 8 parrots, and there's 4 of us that work here full-time around the clock to try to give them as much attention as we possibly can. So they take a lot of time and effort. They have a very specific diet, so it can be very expensive. So they can make great pets for certain owners if you have the time, the money, and the effort to put into them. But as far as everyone else, maybe dogs and cats are really, really good. I know a parrot isn't very good for myself, but great question.
Todd would like to know if there's a reason they have yellow by their mouth.
Yeah, so the yellow skin around his mouth and his eyes, I'm not sure if there's really a reason for it. I wonder if it helps really with the sun, but I'm not 100% sure. I really don't think there is necessarily a reason for it.
Brenley wants to know what's the oldest parrot we have here.
What is the oldest parrot we have here? I'm not sure about the rest of the zoo, but we might have the oldest parrot. His name is Reggie. He's a sulfur-crested cockatoo, and he's easily into his 40s. He started back with this bird show. I want to say the bird show started 36, 37 years ago. So, yeah, he's about 40 years old.
Can he fly?
Can Rio fly? Do you want to fly again? Yeah, he looks really excited. Yes, Rio can fly. He's one of our better flyers that we have here at the bird show. Can I go this way? Yeah. And then we'll fly right at the camera, because that's always a cool effect, right? But of course you can't fly and eat at the same time, you know. Walking and talking, it can be really hard, even for parrots. And of course we use positive reinforcement training here at the bird show. So what that means is essentially I'm asking for a behavior, and when he does something I like, I'll give him one of his favorite treats. I'm actually going to give him a hazelnut whenever he's finished eating and enjoying the sun that we have out here. It's beautiful weather on World Parrot Day. What do you think, Rio? He's got to stretch first, of course, you know. He just woke up from a nap. There he goes. So then he does the behavior, he gets his treat. That's positive reinforcement.
So Charlotte wants to know the difference between a blackbird and a crow, and she knows that it's Parrot Day, but wanted to ask anyway.
No, great. Bird questions are fantastic. Yes, a blackbird and a crow. So a crow is actually a part of a really cool species of bird called corvid family, or Corvidae. Believe it or not, a crow is related to a blue jay. So blue jays, magpies, ravens, crows, they're all in this really cool class called corvids, and a blackbird is not. So corvids are actually one of the smartest species of bird, along with parrots. They have known to be used to use tools a lot of the time. So that's one of the biggest differences between a crow and a blackbird is, yes, the crow is, I don't want to judge all the blackbirds out there, but crows are typically a lot smarter.
Peyton wants to know if he's attached to one particular keeper.
Yeah, does Rio have a favorite trainer? So, so like I mentioned, Rio was born here at the zoo, and so Angela and I are relatively new to the bird show, and Eddie, our manager, has been here the longest, and he is definitely Eddie's bird. He loves Eddie very much because he's been there since about the time he was born.
Chloe wants to know how you tell a female apart from a male.
Great question. I don't know. I don't think they're sexually dimorphic, which is just a fancy way of saying that there's a difference between the males and the females. But I want to say a lot of times with birds, and especially raptors, the females are larger than the males. But I do not think that plays a factor with parrots. But that's an excellent question.
Okay, we've got one more question from Delilah. She wants to know if their eggs are blue when they lay them.
Yes, are their eggs blue when they lay them? No, they are not blue when they lay them. They look just like your normal eggs. They usually have 2 to 3 to a clutch. Usually 1 or 2 will survive. So a great question talking about their eggs. But thank you guys so much for joining us here on World Parrot Day, Rio and I. Don't forget to look in the comments below or on the attached link, and you can do an activity. You can paint or color Rio and macaws just like him, and then also do an activity involving those zygodactyl feet. So thank you guys very much. Rio is very theatrical, so maybe if he'll turn around. Oh, it's like he knew what I was saying. He knows what's going on. He'll turn around. He thinks he did such a good performance. Do you want to give a bow to everybody? He'll take a bow, and then do you want to say goodbye? Or wave goodbye, rather? Yeah, that's his wave goodbye. Thank you, guys.